Welcome back to my series, Dance Mums Uncovered. Paige Hyland had a rough time on the show, to say the least. Not being one of Abby's favourites, she was often overlooked, picked on and set up to fail over and over again. Because there was more to the way she was treated than the producers cared to show. Feel free to share your thoughts on the following evidence. First, let's look at how she was underestimated. Paige was sadly not considered much of a threat to the other girls on her dance team. She was often overlooked by both cast and fans alike because she was considered a weaker dancer compared to several of the other team members. But there were actually some things that were done to make her seem even more this way, for the sake of making good television. It is well known that Paige was only on the top of the pyramid for one episode, Season 2, Episode 7. Well, what if I told you that she was on top during another episode, but it was never shown? According to the production notes, Paige was on the top of the pyramid in Season 1, Episode 12, which was the music video episode. This is quite bizarre because the episode showed a pyramid where all the girls were positioned in a straight line. My theory is that maybe this pyramid might have been filmed after the week was over, since the kids are dressed in outfits that are never seen again at any other point in this episode. Whatever the case, it's a shame because she deserved to celebrate those rare occasions where she was recognised for her achievements. Speaking of this episode, production notes have well and truly confirmed that she was the one competing against Chloe for the Lux role, not Maddie. The video directors actually thought that Maddie's audition was too Broadway and cheesy. Apparently, a lot of the cast was convinced that she was going to be the one to get the role. The fact that she was seriously considered for the part is the reason why there is footage of her singing into the microphone, because she and Chloe sang into it as a final audition for the part. After the Hylands left the show, Abby revealed that she didn't think Paige was ever a dancer and was never cut out for this.
I don't think Paige was ever a dancer, ever. She's a beautiful little girl, nice little girl, very kind, but was never cut out for this.
It is no surprise, but disappointing all the same, that she had essentially written off her student as a potential star. Next, let's explore Abby's wrath. If you thought the way Abby treated Paige on the show was horrible, wait until you hear all the things that she had to say behind the scenes. During a fight with Kelly, Abby marched into one of the classes at her studio and asked the kids if they think Paige had gotten more corrections than them. She said that Paige is too silly and needs to get serious, which is a pretty harsh thing to say to a fun-loving 10-year-old who enjoys just being around her friends. During the week where her solo costume didn't fit, Abby got mad about Kelly's language. So for some reason, Abby thought it was appropriate to yell at Paige. In Season 1, Episode 10, Kelly brought in choreographers to teach her daughters solos. Despite all that Abby had said about her during the season, Paige didn't want to make Abby mad because she still loved her. During this week, Kelly told Abby that she didn't want to fight about bringing in a choreographer because she didn't actually hire them. This suggests that perhaps the producers were the ones who hired them for the sake of this storyline. Regardless, in response, Abby yelled right at Paige, saying that it was somehow all her fault. And this made Paige cry. That week, she ended up deciding at the last minute to perform Tongue Twister, which won her 6th place. During the parent-teacher conference, Abby got mad because Kelly had suggested that she wanted her kids to quit dance or to only attend classes 1 day a week. Abby thought they would end up holding the whole class back. She said that the Hyland girls don't work hard enough. She claims that since they don't want this as a career, she's not going to take them seriously. While on the show we saw a lot of Mackenzie being compared to Maddie, what we didn't get to see was Paige being compared to Brooke. According to Kelly in the Season 2 reunion, Abby tells Paige just about every day that she is not as good as Brooke.
Why should Paige want it? You tell her every day she's not as good as Brooke.
In Paige's lawsuit against Abby, she said that Abby pinched a girl until she bled and grabbed another girl violently by the arm. Well, funnily enough, we see both pinching and grabbing in the Season 1 production notes alone. Despite all of this horrific treatment, when Abby was asked how she felt about Paige being afraid of her, she insisted that Paige was not afraid of her, but instead just afraid of herself. Evidence number 3, picking on Paige. Although she was by far Paige's most severe critic, Abby wasn't the only cast member who picked on Paige during her time on the show. Christi has claimed that Peyton once pushed Paige, and went on to say that she wishes that she was nicer to all the other girls too. This is quite a shocking accusation, but also might cause some people to label her as a hypocrite due to the way that Christi spoke to Paige during an episode of season 3. In this scene, we hear Christi yell that if everyone's jealous, it's too bad. But the suspicious thing about this scene is that we don't actually see Christi's mouth moving. We know from Maddie and Paige's reactions to this situation that Christi did indeed yell something at Paige, but their descriptions of these events suggest that the confrontation was probably longer and much more hurtful than it appeared.
I don't mind Peyton. I don't. I just don't. I think the kids should be nice to one another, that's all.
Did Peyton really push Paige?
Yes.
It doesn't care. If your mom's jealous of an 11-year-old, but just not that she can.
Why would I be jealous of an
She said that you
11-year-old?
and Abby should be best friends because you're all jealous. Christi like screamed in his face. She screamed at all of us and said, you can tell your mom. She was telling your mom
It's okay. It's okay, honey.
You know, that you could look at someone and say, my daughter's better than you.
According to the production notes, Brandon Penn also told his mother that he couldn't stand Paige. It is unclear whether or not he was ever rude to Paige directly, but you have to cut him some slack because she was the younger sister of a girl he dated, or at least kissed in the dance studio. Plus, Paige has said in interviews that she's always around Brooke and her boyfriends and never leaves them alone. You can kind of see how Brandon might have picked up on Paige's annoying little sister behaviour.
Because Brooke and Brandon, really did date in real life.
Yes, forever.
Well, there was a rumor. Is it true? Did they kiss in Studio B?
Yeah, it's a true rumor.
Lastly, the producers invaded her privacy during vulnerable moments. According to a sound operator who was interviewed by Christi on her podcast, he was asked by a producer during the Las Vegas episode to get a boom mic in Paige's face because she was in the corner bawling her eyes out.
I remember filming in Vegas, and I know Paige was having a real tough time, and she was crying her eyes out to her mom in the corner. Actually, I don't think her mom was there at the time. I think she was on her own in the corner, and I was asked many times by a producer to get a boom in there, which means when the kids don't have mics on, you have to get that big fluffy microphone and kind of, run in there.
Yep.
And I questioned it so much because I saw so much pain in that little girl's face.
4. Undervalued. Reading the season 1 production notes, it shocks me how everyone seemed very fixated on Paige's appearance, which undoubtedly sent some very unhealthy messages to all the kids. When Paige didn't think she was ready to perform her tongue twister solo, she was afraid that she would forget it. Despite this, Kelly was more upset about the costume. She was saying that she would do the costumes for her kids from now on, so that they could feel good while performing. Abby actually refused to let this happen, and Kelly decided for Paige that she just won't have any more solos. During season 2 nationals, Abby has said that Kelly was going insane on her because of the last text number where Paige sat in the driver's seat, hardly dancing. She says it got to the point where Kelly was close to attacking her like she did in season 4. She also claims that Paige doing nothing in the last text is what won them the number.
I had this mother going insane on me because her kid was sitting in the driver's seat, not dancing and not moving. She was on my last nerve, and I remember that it was almost this close to being that big blowout assault where she grabbed my hair and yanked me and all this and that. We were that close to it in season 2. But her sitting there doing nothing while these people were flying out of the car, that was so important. And that right there is what won the number.
And finally, was she set up to fail? Paige's double take solo was basically a disaster waiting to happen, and none of it was her fault. Firstly, when the cameras wrapped the night before the competition, she still didn't have her solo music. But the production notes also revealed that the music wasn't cut correctly, and this also threw Paige off. Another one of Paige's season 1 solos, Hot List, was entered in the wrong division, meaning that she had to dance several hours earlier than she should have had to. And a few hours can make all the difference when you only have a couple of days to learn the number in the first place. Kelly recently confirmed on the Because Mum Said So podcast that she was told that one of the crew members would bring in stoppers for Paige's chair. Yet when she arrived the next day, they hadn't put the stoppers on, causing Abby to blame her and throw the chair.
That was kind of like the whole chair thing. Like I left the studio that night and at 10:30 at night, and they said one of the PA people will go and get you those stoppers for the chair. And so I come in the next day assuming that there will be stoppers, and there wasn't. And whose fault was it? It was mine, and my kid got a chair through at her because of something that they didn't do.
According to a tweet in 2017, she eventually found the stoppers that were supposed to go on the chair. Another big fight between Kelly and Abby was when Paige was assigned to do a brand new solo at the Recital in season 3. You can watch this whole situation unfold in a behind the scenes video. Kelly believed that Paige was being set up to forget the dance, since Abby, and possibly the producers, refused to let her perform a routine that she already knew. Yet when she offered the other kids the solo, she said that they were allowed to perform a routine that they already knew. When no one volunteered to take the solo, Abby volunteered Maddie. Kelly pointed out that no one wanted it, and then Abby said, "It's a TV show, wake up." She then asked Maddie to volunteer for the sake of the cameras, in the hopes that it would be edited to look like Maddie took the initiative herself, which made Kelly furious. She then yells that Paige didn't want to do a solo because no one has ever gotten a solo the day of the recital. This probably means that Paige was not only assigned a new solo this week, but probably hadn't even begun to learn it either. Despite all that she and her family have been through, Paige says that she doesn't regret being on the show. She believes that dance mums changed their lives for the better, even though it was really hard at the time.
I think at first, it was very stressful.
Being on the show was very stressful.
But I think now we have so many benefits. It was very challenging, but I think it was definitely worth it.
Like, I don't regret being on it at all.
Me either.
So what do you guys think? Are you surprised by everything Paige went through? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.